So why aren't companies hiring? Brian Hamilton is the CEO of Sageworks. It's a company that tracks private companies all over the United States and figures out why they hire and fire and do what they do. So, Brian, 34 months after the supposed end of the recession, and we still have an 8% unemployment rate. This is unprecedented since the Great Depression, isn't it?
It really is for the past 60 years, and anxiety is what's causing this, Dave. It really is. If you look into the mind of the privately held company business owner, they're still nervous. They're either worried about where we are right now, where we're going to be, and they're also suffering some relapse from what happened a couple of years ago. So that's what's kind of driving this, and you're right. There is no real historical precedent over the past 50 or 60 years, so we're a little bit concerned, no question about it.
Well, you put together a little chart, and again, it doesn't do justice to how many hundreds, thousands, I believe, of companies you really interview and figure out what's going on. But the first thing is anxiety. First reason they're not hiring, they are anxious about the environment, as you said. But the second reason, 22% of all those companies who survey said they're not hiring because they've already become more efficient. They've downsized to become more efficient, and they don't need as many people, right?
And there's truth to that. So look, the profit per employee in the United States has gone up a lot with privately held companies over the past 20 years. It's gone from about $10,000 per employee to about $15,000 per employee. That doesn't sound like a big differential, but over 27 million companies, it's enormous. So they're getting more efficient, but remember, there's still a lot of anxiety, and they can only do that so
but Brian,
long.
Look, I'm going to a point here. Follow me here. They are not hiring because they feel more efficient. They feel that they've grown as much as they can. That's why you need new companies. That's why after any recession, you usually have this undergrowth of new companies because the old companies have already downsized. They become more efficient. You need the new companies in to hire people. That's what's lacking. The new entrepreneurs starting the new companies, correct?
Yeah, and it's amazing. I'm dating myself a little bit here. Back in the late 80s, it wasn't super vogue to start a business. So we've got this new generation of entrepreneurs. We don't have as much startup growth as we need. There's no question about it. And remember, Dave, your point's well taken, because if you look at the data, it's the smaller entrepreneurial companies with fewer than 15 employees that really create a ton of jobs. So until that engine gets going and really gets going, you know, we're a little concerned that we're a bit stuck on that unemployment rate.
Okay, well, we saw that engine churning after the Great Recession. I call it the Great Recession of 81 to 83. That was a two-year recession. That was devastating. We had 13% inflation, 21% interest rates. We haven't had things that bad in those areas since then. We came out of it because of what? And what did we do that we could repeat now to create that engine, that new growth that we need?
Okay, so here's the truth. We don't know. I don't know. You don't know. Not for sure, right? There's no question about it. But as a country, we are great entrepreneurs. If you look over the past 150 years, if you let these folks get out and start businesses, you don't put a ton of constraints on them, we are great entrepreneurs as a country. I don't mean to be hokey about it, but it's really true. Yeah. So if you look back to the early 80s, you see tons of job growth and everything going in the right direction. And until that happens, you know, that 8% number or 7% is way too high. And Dave, you've pointed out before, don't forget, that doesn't include the discouraged workers. You might add another 4 or 5% to that number. So, you know, we need to get it better. There's no doubt about it.
Well, in addition to tax rates going down, there was all sorts of regulatory reform in the 80s, and we're going in exactly the opposite direction. We're piling on regs instead of getting rid of them. I think that's one reason why we don't have the new growth. We've got to leave it at that. Have a great weekend, Brian. Brian Hamilton of Sageworks, you do great work. Good to see you. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot, Buck.
Well, before Warren Buffett makes a trade